Again, this course is about safety and fundamentals, everything you need to stay safe, know where to fly safe and legally. I will, however, go over some basic aerodynamics and the controller. This is a DJI Mini 3 Pro. It came out, I think, beginning of this year. It's less than 249 grams. It's a great starter drone, but they also have the DJI 2 Pro, or SE, I believe it's called, and you can get those for a couple $100s cheaper. This one comes with a controller, so you don't have to use your phone, or you can buy it without and use your phone and save about $250. But in 2023, June of 2023, when I put together this course, this is one of DJI's newest, smallest, lightest drones. In terms of basic aerodynamics, we have lift, thrust. In this case, you have 4 motors, so your thrust may take you in different directions. Weight, gravity, and then drag. So that's opposition to thrust. Now, it's important because if you're trying to take off or land and you put in too much thrust, you may flip over the drone, and so that's why it's important. I have the drone there for you to see. And again, these are the controls. So with my left hand, you have lift, and then you have yaw with the left hand. If you're trying to descend, that's gravity, descending motion. Then you have roll, left and right. To start this drone, you simply, and you can see the propellers spinning. I don't recommend flying indoors. So to lift off of the ground, you simply roll and roll. What was that? And then you also have this button, which is return to home. That's an easy way, if you've flown out, have it automatically return home, you can hit that button. These are different modes in terms of speeds and cinematic control modes. And then you have your camera, video, and then there's your off button. So this is a really good drone for starters, and something you might want to consider. Say you're taking off and you're using a controller. If you apply too quickly one of the functions, so if you apply too much thrust or lift, then the drone could actually flip over. If you're taking off, in most cases, you could just take off. There's even a takeoff button that I recommend when you first start, because that should compensate for the winds for you. But when you start flying yourself, make sure you take into consideration if there's winds coming from different directions. If you're taking off and there's wind coming from the right, then you actually want to apply a little bit of roll in this way so that the airplane doesn't flip over. Because if you leave it like this, when you take off, the wind is going to blow it off. So you kind of have to put a little bit of roll into the wind just so the drone doesn't flip over, the same as in a commercial airline jet. So I just wanted to mention that. Again, you have lift, thrusts that are coming from each of these engines. In this case, weight, gravity, and then drag is opposition. So those are the forces of flight, some basic aerodynamics, and things to consider when you're flying. I wanted to talk about the 2 different controllers so that you can understand different type of flight modes. So your traditional drone that you buy from like a Best Buy, like a DJI Parrot from Costco, for photography has stabilization mode. And so with that, you have pitch, yaw, roll, and then this is like forward and backward for the drone. The difference on this controller, this is a Emax, and these are pretty popular little tiny hawk FPV drones. You can fly them with goggles or without. It's similar to the DJI has a FPV drone as well, but with theirs it has stabilization mode. This is actually harder to fly because it's called acro mode, and you have to control your thrust. If you notice, this controller here is your thrust or your throttle. So when you start off, it's actually in this position versus on a drone that has stabilization mode, then it's actually centered in this position. So when you take off, that's gonna give you an ascent, a descent, and then this is a neutral hover mode if you stop and leave it centered. Whereas this, you're constantly controlling the amount of power and then the pitch of the drone as well. And that's similar to if you fly RC fixed wing airplanes. So again, I just wanted to talk about the difference in those two. These are FPV racing drones, and they don't have they may have a mode for beginner where it has more of a stabilization feature. I actually think it does have that, but I bought this. See, there's beginner, intermediate, and expert. But I bought it so I could learn how to fly acro mode, where I actually have control of my throttle, and it's a lot more challenging than flying a drone with stabilization mode. If you want to learn how to fly RC airplanes like this, I highly recommend the Interlink DX controller with Real Flight Sim, and it actually has training lessons as well.
If you were on, say, the grass, so we'll go out to the grass.
Where they'll walk you through.
So you need a little extra power to get it moving on the grass.
And they'll
and
start off with
options
beginner
when you're using the
lesson.
throttle.
This is highly recommended if you want to learn how to fly these, so you don't crash up your $400 brand new RC plane when you first get it. If you want to learn how to fly FPV drones, first person view, or quadcopters in acro mode, which takes away the stabilization of drones similar to like DJI, it's very challenging. I highly recommend a game like this, DCL or DRL, and then you can use like one of these free Sky. They either plug in or you could use USB dongle. So let me show you. See? Don't do that. Finally, the third simulator. I went to Embry-Riddle, and they actually have a free sim for the public. You can download it on the link below. And basically, this is how I learned how to fly drones. It's pretty nice. And so if you bought a drone like this and you wanted to learn how to fly, this is the DJI Mini 3 Pro. Then this would actually fly similar. You could just use the regular PlayStation controller, hook it in with the USB, and then basically this flies, it has a stabilization mode, and so this flies where this is gonna control, let's see, this is gonna control your pitch, up and down, and then you have yaw, left and right, and then here, this is forward and backwards, forward and backwards, and then this motion here, left and right, is gonna control your roll. So I highly recommend this sim. It's pretty easy to set up. I just put it on a PC. It's available for PC or Mac, and the link is below. And so this is a good way for students and adults, people of all ages, to learn how to fly drones safely before you put this up in the air, because you don't want to crash. Even if it's just a $1,000 drone, that's a lot of money to throw out the window. So learn on the simulator first, and you'll be a lot more successful when you get in the air. All right, this section is gonna briefly talk about drone photography. I'm not gonna go into it in detail because I plan to make a another class in the next, I think I said by September, that goes into a little bit more detail, but it's a little difficult to do because every drone has different settings. But what I recommend, for example, here I am here. I have the DJI Mini 3 Pro set up, and this is the controller. I pulled up the manual online. There's not a lot of information there, but you just have to play with it. It has all the features of a traditional digital camera. So, for example, there's an autofocus right here. And then you have your zoom, 1 times, 2 times. You can even flip it, which is a feature I haven't seen, from landscape to portrait. There is a video, record. There's a auto feature at the bottom. And then like you see down here, video 4K, 30 frames per second, if I were using that. Now, if you wanted to switch to where you were using a camera mode, as you see, for video it was red, and for camera it's white. So you can use these buttons on top, which is pretty easy. This is actually, there's a roller on this side that does your zoom for you. A roller on this other side that is actually gonna take the gimbal and move that up and down, as you see there. So those are what those 2 buttons are for. And then you have these 2 buttons on the back as well. One of them controls landscape and portrait. And if you click these 3 buttons at the top and go to camera, you have all the same features. So you have different aspect ratios. You have different aspect ratios on there. You have your white balance. You can set it automatic or manual. Checking your SD card as well. All right, we've almost made it to the end of the course. Thanks for sticking with me. This has been a lot of fun. I really enjoyed sharing all this information with you. Now, for those of you that are looking to take this beyond recreation or hobby, and you're thinking about studying and getting certified, your Part 107, I wanted to show you a few websites where you could look for jobs. One of my favorites is LinkedIn. I'll put the link below. They have a lot of listings for jobs, and I'm seeing more and more every day. You have Dish TV here that hires drone pilots. There's a lot of military and federal contractors that are looking for drone pilots. And the best thing to do is go on, click on the link, and see what they require. They even give compensation, some of the positions. Another website is Indeed. You'll see more contract jobs on that website for like videographers, real estate photographers. I see a lot of surveyors as well. Some of those require certifications that are different. A few other websites are ZeetView. This company was called DroneBase. The neat thing is it's basically an app on your phone, and whenever they have gigs in your area where they need drone pilots to do real estate photography, they send you notifications, and then you can decide if you want to accept the job or if you want to decline it. Amazon and UPS are ramping up, and they are looking to have drone delivery for cargo operations. There's also a lot of companies like Drone Up that are involved with medical delivery services as well. So you could even start your own business, but these are a few ideas just to get your wheels spinning. And if you want to pursue this as a career, these are some options. We've reached the end of the course, and just to recap, we talked about the Federal Aviation Administration and what is a small SUAS or a small drone. the difference between recreational and commercial flying. We highlighted some of the FAA regulations for Part 107. I discussed safety considerations, weather, and airspace. Went through a few video scenarios and discussed what those individuals could have done better. I listed 10 drone apps instead of 5 in the comments that you can download for your phone. These are apps to help you get access to flying in controlled airspace, weather, and also tools to help you fly safe and get more information around situational awareness. We discussed drone photography settings, a few simulators and controllers features, and then finally, drone pilot job. Again, I want to thank you for taking this course, and I'd like to leave you on a positive note and share with you success of some of our friends from the video earlier. I helped Les study for his Part 107 exam, and now he's making a lot of money doing property inspections. My friend with the ice cream truck, we were able to take drone photos at a festival where I didn't have to fly over people for his website. And I'll show you the end of the other 2 scenarios. Thanks again. Another part where you can fly where it's legal and you won't get in trouble.
Okay.
And I want to show you this app on the phone where you can check the weather in advance, because I don't want you guys running into any lightning or thunderstorms.
Okay.
What do you think about that?
Good. Let me
And
know.
I got a treat for Nigel.
No.
Isn't this beautiful? It's a beautiful day. Look, you get to see the lake and everything, and you're not breaking any rules.
This is boring. Give me my drone back.
Goodness. Come on.